Hi, Anne. I've been doing some video kind of market analysis for people over the past couple months, and people have really liked them. So that's how I kind of do my market analysis. It gives people a little insight into how I come up with the pricing for the properties I'm selling, and yeah, just kind of walk you through my process. So let me start off with a couple of things. So when we're looking at your condo, what I do is I start with kind of a local condo map. And obviously, this is the community where ours is, and I also grabbed the community that was that's next to it as well. So this one obviously is just to the west. Those condo communities are they're very similar. There's a few differences between these two. We've got a different HOA and stuff like that, but the condos are built the same. They've got the same floor plans, that type of stuff. So we get some good data from both of them. So once I grab that data, then I kind of set up my criteria. So I'm looking for things that have closed in the last year. Generally, I'm looking for things that have closed in the last 6 months, but if I need more data, I'll go back a little bit further and then I'll make a timing adjustment on the market. And then once I've done that, I also just make sure that we've got two bedrooms. Some of these are listed as three bedrooms, even though they're not. I think some of them are counting the loft upstairs as the bedroom, which it's certainly not. So once I have those, I get kind of my list of results here, and you can see they range really anywhere from if we put them up by price, they range anywhere from about 300 to 400,000. This one that's 400,000 is a little bit of an outlier. You can see outside of that, it's 370. This one's a little bit bigger in square footage. This one does, I believe, have a third bedroom in it. And it's just a little bit different layout. So we've got kind of these vaulted ceilings with just an overall different layout, and there's a bedroom upstairs. So that one I don't really take into consideration. We just kind of look at the rest of them. So once I kind of have those into place, then I check mark these ones that I think are most relative to what we're trying to sell. So the we've got a couple of different versions here, so you can see my versions that I've highlighted run anywhere from 299 to 359. So I'll kind of pick those up, and what I do is I go through them and I figure out, okay, why did I choose this one? Well, this one's the same layout of the property that we are looking to sell. It is on the main floor, so we're not seeing that that kind of, actually, I'm sorry, this one is on an upper level. So we get this a little bit different here is we've got some of these kind of nicer laminate floors, some newer carpet, that type of stuff, just the overall gray and white paint scheme. So we've got that one. We move to our next one that's checked, and this is kind of where the majority of the properties kind of falls in this 310 to 314 range. So again, these ones very similar, a little bit less square footage on the ones that are on the main floor, same layout but less square footage. So this one still has kind of the dated kitchen, looks like it's got newer carpet in it, but old cabinets, old countertops, old linoleum floors, same thing as kind of the unit that we're looking to sell. Just this one does have the updated carpet, and then we've got an updated bathroom as well. Okay, so we notice here that secondary bathroom is not updated, and this is a main floor unit. Okay, so that one's sold at 310. Then we've got one here at 314. This is the same exact unit, again, kind of dated. We've got, the cabinets have been painted, so that makes it, a little bit nicer, but there's still the original cabinets, original countertops. We do have laminate flooring in this area, so we don't have kind of the carpet everywhere. Bathrooms are still kind of original, again, carpet up in that loft area. Door frames and things like that, none of that's been painted, so that's kind of dated as well. So we've got a very similar in terms of condition in this property here. The other thing that we look at is when we have this closed price of 314, and you can see how badly this agent missed the mark here back in 2024, listed this thing in July, chased the market all the way down until they finally sold in December for 314. That's a very big miss. We don't want to do that. We don't want to end up sitting on the property for 6 months. And then ultimately, you can see down here, they net sold it for right around 310. So they gave the concession an additional $44,000 concession, and so the net price is more closer in line with 310. So we'll go to our next one here again, 314.5. We'll go down, look at our concession, and we're really at 310. So again, we have a main floor unit here. This one's just got kind of the flooring, um, got the updated flooring. We've got maybe some paint on the cabinets. Um, got some updated countertops, stainless steel appliances, a little bit of updated bathroom here, that type of stuff. So this one's a little bit better condition, updated. Again, it's a main floor unit. I think main floor versus upper floor units, they tend to vary. Sometimes people like the upper floor units because there's nobody living above them. They get vaulted ceilings. Those things are nice. However, you get a lot of people that are buying in these communities that don't want the steps. So those people like the main floor. So as far as a value being more valuable upper versus lower, it just depends on the buyer and what they're looking for at the time. So so again, this one here sold for 314, 310 after concessions. And I think that was, let me see here. And then we have one more here for 334. So we look at this one. This one again, same exact unit. Okay, just painted. So we've got kind of white paint. Looks like kind of a fresh carpet throughout, painted cabinets, that type of stuff. So a little bit more updated with the floors, the carpet's in a little better condition. And fresh paint, but other than that, nothing crazy updated. So this one's a little bit, to me, a little bit of an anomaly that it sold at a little bit higher, this 334, but we kind of take that into consideration. So all things considered, we look at this and we go, all right, we're probably somewhere, you know, with these ones, what they've sold at, averaging out, we got one at 299, we got one at 334, and then we got three at basically 310. So average those all out, we're pretty much exactly at 310. And then the last thing that we want to do is look at when they sold. Okay, so this one sold back in April for 334. If we go back to our previous ones here, this one sold also in April of 2025. This one sold in December of 2024. This one sold in June of 2025, so that one's a good comp because that one's fairly recent. We do need to be careful though because this is kind of peak market, and so I'm going to show you one more thing here that tells us kind of where we should be. So 310, and then our last one here, the one that sold at 299, that one also sold in June. Okay, so went under contract in May, but again, overpriced and sat on the market, right? So they sat on the market for 2 months and did some price reductions, and then finally sold at 299, and actually another $4,000 or $5,000 in concessions, so a net offer of 294. Okay, so the second thing I want to show you here is what we look at from a timing standpoint. This is the condo market for the last basically basically 3 years. And so what this does is it shows you kind of what our overall condo market has done. It's been fairly flat until the last year or so. And because we've had insurance prices increase and things like that, we've had this really high, pardon me, we've had this condo market that has really regressed kind of significantly. So you can see, you know, up in this area, and we'll actually go to the data here. It's easier to read this way. But we kind of, you know, peaked out in 2022. We were at this like 445 range for condos. And then we never really made it back to that 445. Really here, we got close in May of 2023. And then we just started seeing kind of this regression. We did have a little pop here. I'm actually not sure where that came from. It could have been just a couple of offsetting data points, big condos that were sold. But we started to see this kind of regression. And then specifically the beginning of 2025, we started seeing more and more regression and got down into this like 400,000 range. So there's two things that happen here. The first one is the condo market has pulled back because of the increase in HOA dues. The second thing is we're in this seasonal trend. So every single year, without fail, we have this seasonal trend that we peak basically in July, and then we kind of pull back in the overall kind of pull back from July, August, September, moving into those winter months, and people end up kind of chasing the market down. So those are the considerations we want to take in here. Is we want to make sure we price properly. We're going to end up pricing the market. We've got 1 to 2 more months of pullback before we kind of flatten out and go into the holidays. and things are really kind of slow and flat through the holidays. Okay, so as I look at these, I look at a couple of things. First of all, the unit that we're selling is pretty much fully outdated. The carpet really needs to be replaced. So as far as condition is concerned, I don't think that its condition is as good as any of the ones that we have listed here. I don't think it's that far off, but it's just because we need things like replaced carpet and probably a fresh coat of paint and that type of stuff. So I think realistically, where we're at with something like this is there's two ways to sell this. One, you can sell it kind of as like an investor special for an investor to come pick it up. They can update it. And what the investors look at is they come back to something like this and they look at, okay, what could we sell it for on the back end? So let's just take this unit, for example. This one's got, that's even still laminate countertops. I think the one I wanted to look at was the one before this. I think this one was a little bit more updated. Yeah, so this one here, this is kind of an updated version. We've got laminate LVP flooring. We've got a nice kind of face of the fireplace and hearth there. We've got updated kitchen where we remove that top bank of cabinets, which kind of gives it more of an open feel. This is called a coriander countertop, which is not the nicest, but it's still nicer. We've got a backsplash, this wood top here. So just kind of more of an open feel, white shaker cabinets, and then just the kind of fresh carpet, fresh bathrooms with, you can see the kind of backsplash, not my style, but it's updated. So we've got some more updates kind of throughout this property. So what happens is a flipper would look at this and they go, okay, this would be maybe the amount that we could get. Again, updated bathroom here. This would be the amount that we could get if we flipped it, if we made it nice. So they got 360, 359. And then what a flipper is going to do is generally pay somewhere between 70 and 75% of that value of 360,000 minus whatever the rehab costs are. Okay, so if you have a $360,000 house and you we'll just multiply that times 70% and you're at 252, and then most are going to be somewhere in this would probably be a $35,000 to $45,000 rehab. So we'll take that $40,000 number, and an investor is going to pay somewhere in this like 210 to 215 neighborhood. You got to factor in that they're going to pay the sale costs on the back end. They have holding costs because they're borrowing the money. They have the HOA fees, the taxes, the insurance while they're holding it, and then they have to make a profit. And so that's why that number seems so low. So that's what an investor would pay for it. They'd pay cash, they'd close quickly. And then what's going to happen is then they are going to sell it for 350, 360 on the back end. Our number probably falls somewhere in between. I think realistically, if we want to make sure that we have a quick sale, I really don't think our number should start with a 3. Even this 299 one that sold, it took a couple of price reductions to get to this 299. It sold, or it went under contract back in May when prices were better. So again, if we go back to our chart here, May condo prices, they're just actually, this one's kind of a fluctuating one from month to month here, but overall market, if we go back and change our kind of overall market, you'll see what the kind of the overall trend looks like, not just with condominium. So we'll do condominium, single family, and townhouse, and you'll be able to see kind of what our trending market looks like in a seasonal way. So we can't use current month data, August, because we don't have a full month worth of data. But what you can see is we kind of come up here, we peak out usually in May, June, July. And then we start seeing a pullback. Our market started pulling back a little bit more this year. And so realistically, this August, by the time we finish, this will drop down and will be lower than this July. So again, very much a seasonal trend. You can see it here in 2024 where we peaked out earlier in the year. You can see it here in 2023 where we peaked out and then pulled back. And you don't really want to be a part of this pullback right here as much as possible because it can get pretty significant. You can see here in the overall market, June to December, that's a $50,000 pullback, which is almost a 9% pullback from the middle of the year to year end. Same thing here. You look at a 700,000 peak down to a 667. we don't really want to chase the market down. So I think realistically, a starting point for this property, I think we can beat the investor special. I think we can sell it to somebody who's willing to go in and kind of put the work in, because it's really just comes down to like a nice, sorry if you can hear that. Let me get rid of that. So it just comes down to a kind of what somebody's going to pay for it, for going in and doing paint and carpet and updates kind of as they go. And I think we're probably somewhere in the 275 to 295 range. So that's where I would feel comfortable listing. I don't want to get caught in the pullback of the market that's coming up here seasonally. I think that's going to be your best bet to sell it and to try to sell it quickly. Yeah, so condos are kind of tough right now, so we just got to be aggressive with it, and I think that's what we're looking at. So I hope that helps. I hope it helps to kind of understand the process of what it looks like to go through with those comps and look at a market analysis. And let me know if you've got any other questions from there. So thanks for your time. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk soon.